This video tutorial looks at the mathematical strand of investments, and more specifically, we're going to focus our understanding on dividends. So the first question you need to ask yourself is, what are dividends? Well, dividends are basically a portion of a profit that a company makes. And you're entitled to a dividend or a portion of that profit if you own shares in that company. So the dividends represent the income of owning a share. So the money, by income I mean the profit or the money that you will be getting by owning shares in that company. All right, and there's two types of shares that you can own. You can own ordinary shares, all right, which usually have your dividends quoted as dividends per share. So dividends per share is the total dividends divided by the number of shares. All right, and then you can basically work out how much you would get paid as a shareholder, which is here, by looking at the number of shares you've got, and you multiply that by the dividend per share. All right, and remember, dividend per share is calculated here. So that's for ordinary shares, but you may have preference shares instead. All right, so preference shares are a little bit different to ordinary shares, and they're usually quoted as a dividend rate, so a percentage. All right, and this percentage is basically a representation or a percentage of the par value of the shares. So if you own percent or preference shares, you're going to be using this formula where you've got the number of shares you hold multiplied by the par value multiplied by the dividend rate. All right, we're going to do a couple of example questions which will help you hopefully understand or get a bit better understanding of what this all means. So let's have a look at some example questions. The first one says, from the annual profits of a company, the directors decide to pay $650,000 to the shareholders. If there are 20 million shares on issue, calculate the dividend per share. So basically, we just need to divide our $650,000 divided by our 20 million. All right, which is going to give us around about $0.0325 per share, but we can convert that into 3.25 cents per share. All right, question B says a company declares it'll pay a 4.25 cents per share dividend. Kent owns 3,400 shares in the company, so we want to work out how much he's going to get. So the dividend paid, all right, I'll use D for dividend, is going to be the number of shares that he owns multiplied by the cost of the share per dividend. All right, but this is in cents. I want it to convert it into dollars because I want to know how many dollars he's got, so I just divide it by 100. And that's going to give him a total of $144.50 that he'll get. Question C. A company declares it'll pay a 6% dividend on $2 preference shares. It says calculate the dividend paid to a shareholder who owns 17,200 preference shares. So the dividend that he's going to get paid is the number of shares multiplied by the price or the preference shares, which is $2, multiplied by the percentage. All right, but remember that needs to be converted to a decimal. So 0.06 because 6% converted to a decimal. All right, then we multiply all that out, and we're going to get an answer of $2,064. Okay, so here are some practice questions I'd like you to have a go at. Very similar to the example we just went through. Please feel free to pause the video. Once you think you've got the correct answers, continue the video and we'll see how you went. Okay, so in question 1, a company declares will pay 5 cents per share dividend. Michael owns 9,700 shares in the company. Therefore, his dividend is going to be 9,700 times by 0.05 which is going to give him $485 dividend. In question B, a company declares it will pay 4% dividend on $2.40 preference shares. Sam owns 16,000 of them, so his dividend is going to be the number of shares he owns multiplied by the preference share price multiplied by the rate as a decimal, which is going to give him $1,536.